Babylon is falling and Africa is freeing itself. What's going on, world? Welcome back to T3 and Me. It's your man Tim Ford Jr. here, and today I'm here with my beautiful wife, Mrs. Siobhan Ford. Karibu, Mrs. Ford.
Asante. Thank you.
Yes, Karibu, Karibu. So yes, welcome to everyone who's tuning in to the journey, tuning into the channel. And like we said in the beginning, today we're gonna talk about Babylon is actually falling, you guys. The whole Western world, the Western power structure that we've been forced to live under, we've been forced to be a part of, is finally falling. We are finally seeing things, and things are coming into place where prophecy is being revealed and things are coming to life. So we want to talk about some of those things and shine light on the significance of what's going on and how our people can be prepared and, get into a good position during these times.
But yeah, guys, like you said, Babylon is falling and Africa is freeing itself. There's so many things going on right now. So much prophecy is being fulfilled. So many moving pieces are so many things are going on. Like every time I turn on YouTube or like open up my phone, it's breaking news, breaking news, like I've never seen so much breaking news. Like it's almost like we're becoming desensitized. Like breaking news is every day now, and it's just really a blessing to be alive in these times and to experience these times because many of the prophets and those who came before us, they wanted and wish they could be alive during the end times when they would see the fall of all of the wickedness that has been going on upon the face of the earth for all these thousands of years. So it's really a blessing for us to be around in these times. And it's also just a wake up call for all of us to make sure that we're moving in the right path of where we need to be moving so that we can survive and thrive during these end times. But with that being said, I know you guys heard about the bridge that collapsed in Baltimore, Maryland. I'm sure pretty much everybody has heard about it. But there's some key facts and very prophetic significance of what happened when that bridge collapsed or was attacked, whatever you want to say.
So I don't know how many of you all know this, but the name of the bridge was the Francis Scott Key Bridge. And for those of you who don't know who Francis Scott Key was, I'm going to give you a brief biography of who he actually was. So,
And shout out to Tammy too.
yeah, shout out to Tammy for this help with this information. Francis Scott Key was born in 1779 on a plantation owned by his parents. Francis Scott Key was a lawyer who was a slave owner, colonizer, oppressor, hypocrite, and enemy of Yahuwah and his children. He came from a lineage of slaveholders. Francis Scott Key used his office as the district attorney for the city of Washington from 1833 to 1840 to defend slavery, attacking the abolitionist movement in several high-profile cases. So this man literally made a life out of making sure that he kept the remnants of slavery intact in that society over there.
Mm-hmm.
Like he made it his mission to make sure that those things stayed in place. So not only did he dedicate his life to making sure that slavery remnants stayed within the society, he also wrote the Star Spangled Banner. He wrote a part of the Star Spangled Banner, well, the entire thing, and some of the parts of the Star Spangled Banner that we actually don't know about. Some of those actually speak about us staying in the situation that we were in perpetually forever. So I can read some parts of it to give y'all an example.
Yeah.
No.
No, we used to have to sing that in school, pledge allegiance to the
Man,
flag,
it's
which
crazy.
is like witchcraft. They've been doing witchcraft on us since we was born.
Man.
And if you haven't already, make sure you renounce any covenants you made or anything you spoke over yourself or any attachments you've made to Babylon by singing that song or pledging allegiance. Anybody that's gone to school in the United States, you have said this at least once in your life.
In one part of the anthem, he actually says, "No refuge could save the hireling and slave from the terror of flight or the gloom of the grave. And the star-spangled banner in triumph doeth wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave." This was some of the words that that guy wrote, and that's why we feel like there's a strong spiritual significance to that bridge falling and that bridge doing what it did, because now it's time. It's this more evident that it's time for us to really, man, we still have a window. We still have a window of opportunity to escape and put ourselves into a better position and position ourselves to really take advantage of what's going on over here. Because as things are going on in the Western world and Babylon is falling right before our eyes, things are being built over here on the continent of Africa. Things are moving into a place where we are positioning ourselves to be able to rebuild everything in a better way. As long as you just take advantage and use your mind and look at what is being presented to us. There's no coincidence that someone who was so strong in the movement of slavery and they put a symbolic representation of that in people's faces to show that they represent that and stand with that. For that to fall, that says like y'all really ain't standing on nothing. All
Right.
that's about to fall.
Right.
All of it. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
y'all thought y'all was standing on business. They keep standing on business. That
Man.
business gonna crumble.
So yeah, man, we have an opportunity, man. If you have ears to hear, eyes to see, take advantage of what we have at our hands right now, because this is a chance.
Yeah, and just some stats about that port. So that port in Baltimore was ranked the top port in the nation, for automobile shipments, having imported and exported more than 750,000 vehicles in 2022, according to the Alliance for Automotive Innovation Group. About 3/4 of the autos that travel through the port are imports, dominated by big name brands including Mazda, Mercedes-Benz, Subaru, Mitsubishi, Volkswagen, Chrysler, Jaguar Land Rover, and General Motors. Those are all companies founded off of the backs of us. General Motors, especially, they had a huge plant in DC. Yeah, I mean Detroit. I said DC. In Detroit, where it's old slave money. It's just the system perpetuating itself. These companies were all founded off the backs of our ancestors. So the port is also ranked second in the country for exporting coal, and this is as of 2023. They export a lot of different things and import a lot of different things. Baltimore is also a niche port for the soybean trade, focusing mostly on high value soybeans used in tofu, miso, tempeh, and organic products. Y'all know the vegetarian industry is huge in America. So this is going to have some really devastating effects. It may not happen overnight, but in the months and the weeks to come. Also, this is very, very key. This last point that I want to bring out is that you guys know that there's been basically like a undercover, a silent war between America and China for the past couple of years. And what America, they used to import and export a lot of different goods from China to China through the West Coast ports. But since they've been having this trouble with China, they have switched over to using the East Coast ports to ship and trade with different countries that they're friendly with. So all of the East Coast ports have become more important in recent years as the United States attempts to boost its trade with friendly nations and reduce geopolitical risks related to trade with China, which generally happens via the West Coast ports. So them hitting this East Coast port is huge, and a lot of logistics and things are there's gonna be a ripple effect because that port in Baltimore was able to bring in large ships, huge ships. Some of the other ports around the country are don't have the capacity to bring in those large ships like that. So this is going to have some really devastating effects on the economy in America and globally. So this is definitely a sign. And I hope everyone's paying attention to these different signs that the Most High is leaving, these little breadcrumbs that he's leaving for us.
Yeah, it's gonna have an effect because they have to close that area off. Like they're not gonna be able to pass through there. They're gonna have to. They have to still find the remains of some people too, right?
Yeah, there's still people trapped underneath there.
Yeah, it's people trapped. The bridge. I don't know if you guys have seen the video. If not, guess go check it out and see because they're plastering it all over social media. Yeah, man, just take advantage of the times if you can see what's going on and put yourself in position.
Yeah, and they said it's going to take like years to rebuild that bridge and that port. So this is not going to be fixed anytime soon. And the supply chain and logistics chains were already weak and crumbling as of the pandemic time. So this is just going to make matters worse.
Yeah. And then we know being in an environment where, people do not know how to handle stress, they typically look at the weakest link that's around them when times get rough. We've seen it countless times in history before. So, just put yourself in position and pay attention to the times. And
The next thing we want to talk about is just America, Babylon is under attack. Um, so many different ways, in so many different ways, so many different aspects. They're under cyber attacks. I know you guys have heard about the recent cyber attacks, them cutting the undersea cables under the water in the oceans, and they've tampering with people's electricity, tampering with power, tampering with people's ability to get on the internet. That's been a huge thing. Internet outages all over the world. It's more specifically in Babylon as well. Cyber attacks. There's talks that what happened at the Baltimore port may have actually been a cyber attack where they remotely took control of that boat and did that on purpose. Because even if you look at the video, the path that the boat was initially going on, it turned a little bit to make sure it hit that pole that was in the water that was holding up the bridge. It wasn't going that way. It was gonna sideswipe it, but it turned at the last minute. Y'all have to go back and rewatch it if you didn't catch that. So there's talks that it could have been a cyber attack on the boat. We've been seeing cyber attacks these past couple of weeks, so that's not impossible. There's also attacks down in supposedly an invasion of immigrants down at the southern border of the United States, where they're just letting in thousands and thousands of immigrants into the country. And, some of these people are actually terrorists, pedophiles. They're actually coming in to take over, to repopulate the United States and get rid of us, get rid of Black people. I know it may be hard to believe for some people, like, well, why would they do that? Well, if you go back to the history of the country, like, they never wanted us to begin with. They brought us over here to be slaves, to work for them. That was the whole point of us being here, being over there. So now they're just going to replace us with another immigrant population, basically, because they know that we're not going to go along with their plan. We're making too much noise. We keep trying to talk about slavery. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want their children to know what they did, what their ancestors did. So they don't want us around anymore. And so they're going to kick us out through these different tactics, letting in immigrants who are coming in. They're taking over people's homes, and all these different things. And there's nothing wrong with immigrants. Don't get me wrong. I don't think there's anything wrong with letting immigrants into the country. But what's happening down at the southern border is not that. That's us actively being replaced and them trying to change America and have things go their way. Because if they can get all these immigrants in and have them vote Democrat, then they can do whatever they want to do.
Mm-hmm. And I know when I was in Memphis, I know there was a lot of complaints about people. And this was 2012, 2013. People were complaining about the Hispanic population coming in and taking all the opportunities. So this is just going to be times 20 now, because they're actively doing it. I'm sure they were doing it at the time, but I've seen the remnants and the effects of them letting people in to just take the opportunity that's already there, because there's already not many opportunities. And the rate at the jobs that are there, our people are like, no, we deserve more. I'm not working for that amount. But the immigrants that's coming over, they're like, you know what, I'll take it. As long as I got a job in America, I'm good. So that's how they're going to end up replacing us. Like, you don't want the job, but somebody's going to come and take that low amount happily, and it's going to keep their economy going. And if you don't have the wherewithal to create something for yourself, if you haven't built anything on your own, then you're going to be stuck like, man, I should have took that job, or feel like you should have took that job. So, man, prepare yourself. Prepare yourself, please.
Yeah, and they're offering different incentives for these immigrants to come over. They're giving them money every often. Yeah. I don't know if it's every few weeks or every month they get money on a debit card, just like how they used to do EBT and things like that. They give them money on a debit card, and they're offering them pathways to citizenship. If they join the military or the army or some of the armed forces, they have a clear path to citizenship. So if you don't think these people who are in third world countries who don't have running water, don't have electricity, don't have jobs, opportunities, they're going to be able to come over here and get USD and send it back to their family, and that translates into their family becoming rich and wealthy. And then after 10, 15 years, they can go back to their country. These people are thinking long term. They don't mind sacrificing for their family. People in different third world countries, they always do that. Like, even here in Tanzania, like, you'll see men take jobs in another country. They'll be gone for like 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, and then they'll come back to their family with like all this money, and then they'll be good, and then they'll be gone again, or maybe they'll just stay. you know, or people that go to America to, you know, go study abroad and work there in the country for X amount of years, and then they come back and build in their home country. People, immigrants do this all the time. That's how they think. So for them, this is like, this is a great a dream come true. Like they can come over here, they're gonna get paid to come over here, they're gonna get free housing, they're gonna get jobs already lined up, and they can become a citizen.
And some of the older people getting Social Security too.
Yeah. So, you know, it's a dream come true for these people. So just make sure you're seeing the writing on the wall of what's going on. Don't just see these things going on and, you know, don't do anything to prepare and to gird yourself up against the onslaught of the beast, against the children of the Most High, because that's what's going on right now. Another aspect of how America is under attack or invasion is the Chinese spy balloons. I know y'all remember the Chinese spy balloon that was over the U.S. A few months ago. And, you know, that was like a whole big thing in the media. But since then, there have been several more Chinese, they saying that they're monitoring the weather. But why would they need to monitor the weather on the other side of the world? Y'all don't live over here. Why are y'all trying to monitor the weather? But that's the excuse they're giving, that, oh, it's just weather monitoring balloons. But these are spy balloons. They're spying on all the critical infrastructure, the bases and nuclear power plants and everything that's going on, so that when it's time for them to come and do what they need to do, they already have everything mapped out. They already have their people in here who, you know, been coming in through the southern border. And so it's going to be that much easier to do what they need to do.
Since we're here, got to show y'all some of the products real quick.
This I'm not your body baby. Not your body.
Yeah, natural product.
Not your body.
Yeah.
Not your body.
Yeah.
Baby.
Yeah. Come closer. Come. Busy Beachy.
Karibu.
The next big event that is on the horizon that we all need to be paying attention to and taking heed to is the eclipse. I know y'all been hearing about the Great American Solar Eclipse that is coming up April 8th, 2024, where the entire moon in the sky is supposed to be darkened. And we were talking about this eclipse for like 7 years, because the first eclipse was in 2017. Oh, was it August 21st, 2017?
Yeah.
I believe it was August 21st, 2017. And so when that eclipse happened, we were like, okay, like
God is real.
God is real. It was the day after we got married. They had the eclipse, and like the whole sky turned black. Never seen anything like it. It was crazy. So then we heard like, oh, it's going to be another eclipse in 7 more years, where it's basically going to be like X marks the spot. And so as more and more information has been coming out about the eclipse, more and more signs are in this eclipse. Like this eclipse literally hits every city named Nineveh in a certain path on that X pathway throughout the United States. And if anybody remembers Nineveh from the Bible, it's very significant. It was when Jonah, the one that got swallowed up by a whale, he was supposed to go to Nineveh and basically tell them to repent, or they was going to face the judgment. And the guy was basically going to destroy them all and destroy the city. And he didn't want to go because these people were like known to be like wicked people. Like they would kill people, like messengers. They would kill messengers. They would do all sorts of stuff. They was nefarious people. And so he didn't want to go because he was scared. And so he tried to run away in a boat, and he got swallowed up by a whale.
I'm sorry, John. My bad.
Yeah. And so, you know, he wound up surviving the ordeal, or else he was resurrected. I don't know. It doesn't say specifically, but he wound up coming back, and he went to Nineveh and told them like, hey, you need to repent, because he went to the city of Nineveh and told them that they needed to repent, or they was going to face the judgment of Yah. And there's another scripture in the Bible that talks about when the apostles and the disciples were asking Christ, like, hey, what will be the signs of the times and everything like that? Like, what are the signs of the end times? And he said, no sign will be given to this wicked generation but the sign of Jonah, which is when Jonah went to the city of Nineveh. So the fact that this eclipse is crossing through all these different cities named Nineveh is a sign, you know. And if you can't see that,
just the eclipse itself, like that should be a sign within itself. Like, man, something going on, and we won't even be able to see it over here.
Yeah,
it's not even a worldwide thing. It's just literally over a piece of land, that continent.
Yeah,
it's literally over that. So, and like we said, when we first saw the first one, it was definitely a spiritual feeling, a spiritual experience. Let me say, because like it's like it was the middle of the day and it turned night, literally.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, like the crickets came out, they started chirping, and it's like everything from the night element came on. The street lights came on, the dogs started barking like it was nighttime. Like everything turned into night, and it wasn't even like one whole minute, and it was something that we never had experienced before. So, man, if you didn't get the chance to experience it, and it's supposed to be something that some they're saying is some significance to it, like it could be like 3 days of darkness or something after the eclipse.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they've been talking about the governors and things. They've been telling people to prepare, like to stock up, to have like at least like a certain amount of days worth of food and water, like 3 days to 2 weeks worth of food and water, because they're expecting. Um, they're not saying what it is, but obviously, if somebody's telling you to stock up for food or water, that means that potentially something could happen. Whether it's darkness for a certain amount of time, whether it's an EMP, or whether it's an earthquake that comes after the fact. If we look back at the other eclipses and what happened after the eclipses, sometimes after like 1 month or 2 months after eclipse, there will be a huge giant earthquake. Because what happens during the eclipse is that the moon affects the sea in some sort of way. And so being at the how the eclipse covers the moon, whatever happens, I don't know the scientific explanation of it, but basically it causes the water to flow into like a certain position. And so that when that water is flowing, is moving the plates under the earth. And so it can cause earthquakes. And it has before in the past. When there's been an eclipse, there's been like earthquakes that happen afterwards, whether it's weeks afterwards or months afterwards. And there was a prediction. I don't know if this is true or not, but you remember the guy who was on the news, and he was like, he went to the Bohemian Grove and he saw like crazy stuff going on, and he didn't care no more. He was like an MMA fighter. Yeah, Ryan Garcia. If y'all haven't been watching, paying attention to what he's been talking about, but he's basically like a famous MMA fighter, and supposedly he claims that he went to the Bohemian Grove, and if y'all know what goes on at the Bohemian Grove, it's basically like a huge occult gathering where they do sacrifices, they do pedophilia, and they do all sorts of crazy things. He said he went there and he saw crazy stuff, and he basically was just like exposing the secrets of the deep state and these wicked people. And he claims that he knows that there's supposed to be an earthquake on June 6th. So whether that happens, we don't know, but we know an earthquake will come, because the scriptures talks about earthquakes happening. We don't know when, but it's just something to watch out for.
Yeah, man. Pay attention to the times.
Now, next up, another thing that's fallen in Babylon is Hollywood. Unless you've been under a rock, you know what's been going on with Diddy, with Jakes, with a lot of them. Yeah, a lot of names are being dropped. The Most High is allowing the wicked within the society, the people that are idolized, the people that the children look up to, the people that have influenced entire generations of people to be wicked. I mean, if you look at the things that Diddy promoted, he didn't promote anything that was of the Most High. He promoted lasciviousness, he promoted partying, he promoted drinking, he promoted bad boy lifestyle, womanizing, fornication, adultery, like literally everything that goes against what the Most High said. He promoted it, and he literally was able to help influence an entire generation of the Most High children to go astray, to idolize that sort of a lifestyle. And now you see with Generation X, like they are so far gone. Like they want to do OnlyFans, like this, just like their mindset is just like completely dwarfed and influenced by Babylon. And like of course, like previous generations, like like they had influences of Babylon, but nothing like what's going on now. Like it's really like crazy. Like trans is more acceptable. LGBTQ, all this stuff is like new, and all these different people in Hollywood and different things they have helped bring in and usher in this sort of culture that is very against the laws and the way the Most High would want us to behave and act.
Yeah, so there's a huge spiritual significance to these people continuously being exposed like every other week. I don't know if y'all noticed, but it's been Diddy for the past month and a half, but it's someone new every other week. Like even with the Nickelodeon stuff, Dan
Mm-hmm.
Schneider, like he's the guy from Nickelodeon. He's the one that was producing a lot of the shows that we watched growing up on Nickelodeon.
Mm-hmm.
And they did a whole documentary exposing him and what he was doing to the children,
Mm-hmm.
and shining a light on what they went through in the child entertainment industry. So and I know myself and a lot of my peers from Memphis, man, we talked about wanting to do that growing up, and a lot of us had those hopes and dreams of being on those shows. And now, thankfully, we're realizing, like, man, we were saved for not being put in those positions. But yeah, there's a strong reason all of this is being revealed, y'all. So we can't keep exposing our children to this stuff. We can't keep exposing ourselves to this type of stuff. If we see that literally this is the end result, we watched the guy Diddy build everything that he built, and we see the end result of it right now. We're watching what happens when you build on that type of foundation. We seeing what happened. So this is a sign for us to see and realize, like, man, do we really want to go down that road? We really want to take that path and continue to try and reach the American dream in this society, because it's not really a dream in that society. Because it's not really a dream. It's not something that's really achievable. That society corrupts your soul in order for you to make it to the top. That's the only way you can make it to the top over there in some cases. So, man, you gotta try something new, guys. We gotta do something new and try put ourselves in a better position and continue going down that path.
Yeah. And speaking of trying something new, Africa. Let's switch gears to Africa, because at the same time that Babylon is falling, we see that Africa is rising and Africa is freeing itself of the former colonial masters, so to speak, and also the former colonial monetary systems, economic systems, and all these different things systematically is being pulled down. We did a video a few months ago about Africa kicks out the colonizers, where we discussed what was going on in West Africa with Niger and Burkina Faso, how they basically gave France the boot and kicked them out of their country. Recently, Nigeria also cut ties with the U.S., and they said that they had to remove their U.S. military and U.S. military bases from Nigeria. So we see that whole block, that whole West African block, is basically like leading the fight for freedom throughout the continent. And they also basically were going to cut ties with ECOWAS. ECOWAS is basically the economic coalition of West African states. It's a block of like a bunch of West African nations like Ghana, Nigeria, Senegal, Burkina Faso, Nigeria. A lot of those different Western African countries, they basically formed a economic and governing bloc where they're supposed to work together, like Pan-African states of West Africa. Nigeria and Burkina Faso said that they was going to leave ECOWAS because ECOWAS basically was siding with the colonizers. Like when they wanted to kick out France and everything, they were basically going to fight them. They were going to send in troops and everything, like against their own African brothers, in order to appease the colonizers. And so Nigeria was like, well, forget it. We're going to leave. Like, we will withdraw ourselves from this group. And ECOWAS wound up coming to their senses, and they lifted the sanctions off of Niger and Burkina Faso because they was getting ready to leave. They lifted the sanctions off of them. So we see like they're not playing. Like these younger leaders that are rising up, Ibrahim Traore and the leader of Burkina Faso and Nigeria and all these different countries, they are rising up and they're saying, look, not on our watch. Man. Not on our watch. Not another generation is going to go on kissing the feet of the colonizers and bowing down to these people. It's time for them to go. Man. It's time for them to get out there. And if you part of the old guard and you want to keep kissing the feet of colonizers and promoting disunity and discord amongst Africans, you're going to be the part of the people that's going to have to get the boot and go too.
Go live with them.
Yeah, because go stay over there with them. Man, leave us alone to rebuild Africa in peace.
Exactly. And what y'all fail to realize is what a lot of people are afraid to step into is, once you stand up for yourself, bro, like they can't do nothing but respect it. They only continue to take advantage of weak people. They only continue to bully those who don't stand up for themselves. So once you really stand up for yourself and position yourself as a man, as a woman, as a family, as a nation, they can't do nothing but respect that.
Also, the president of Senegal, they recently had elections in Senegal, and they recently elected Africa's youngest president in Senegal, and he basically is like another Ibrahim Traore. He's like we're going to fight corruption within a nation. We're going to right the wrongs of what was done. We're going to, get rid of these the colonial remnants of the past that are continuing to keep our people poor and oppressed and in all these different things. So, man, it's really just a beautiful time to be on the continent and to be able to witness these things and to be boots on the ground, to see this in like real time, because we always knew this was going to happen. Like when we came in 2020, there were so many naysayers like, no, like you guys are stupid. Y'all going to be back in the States and like, and I'll give it 6 months, like, like all these different type of things. And, Africa is dangerous. And, it was just so many different things that were being said to try to deter those of us who had that call and who were told to come over here and to prepare the way and to build and to unite. But we see that those of us who stood fast, who stayed determined, who stood strong despite the opposition, who was in the trenches this whole time, like we know, we always knew, and we always knew what was right and what was wrong. And at the end of the day, the truth doesn't need any defending. And time will tell. Time will prove everything to be, whether it's the truth or whether it's a lie. Only time always proves everything. And so those of us who stuck the test of time, those of us who can see the times and the writing on the wall, who see what's going on, what's going on, and you know what you need to do, and you know that you need to get in position and continue to prepare. So for some of you guys, you need to begin to prepare, invest in Africa, do what you can, so that when Babylon does completely fall, all the way, that you'll have a contingency plan.
So it's still a window of opportunity. We don't know how big it is and how long there's going to be opportunity, but there's still a chance, man. But you just have to take advantage of the time.
Yeah.
And move accordingly. And don't get distracted by all of the distractions out there. Keep your spirit pure and focus on Africa.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. And another thing I want to say too, because we get a lot of older people who are like, well, how can I help? Like, where do I fit in? Like, don't feel like because you're older or because like you're retired or whatever that you don't have a place in the awakening or in what's going on the continent, and everything. You still have a place. You still have a role to play, whether you want to finance the movement or whether you want to invest into the movement or whether you just want to support with wisdom, like jewels of wisdom. There's so many different things like that older people, the elders can do that can help the awakening. Even if you find different communities and things of that nature, there are people that need mediation, they need, different jewels of wisdom. And so there's always a place for anybody, whether you're young or you're old. Don't feel like, oh, I'm too old to come to Africa. Because we've had people say that to us. A lot of people, they feel like they're too old to come to Africa. That's not the case, because even it doesn't matter how old you are. God can use anybody. Sarah had a baby at 100 years old. So the Most High can use you to do anything. It doesn't matter your age. If you have breath in your body and if you have, that's it. That's all you need is breath in your body. Then you can be used and you can be a beneficial to the movement of what's going on here on the continent.
Yeah. And then many of you are maybe, because you are the oldest in your family and in your generation, in your bloodline, you're supposed to come over here and lay a foundation for your grandchildren and children that don't see it yet. So, maybe you're the one that's supposed to come and pave the way. And it's nothing for you to get a comfortable vehicle to go or move around and handle your business. So maybe you're supposed to come over here and get land for your family, set up a business for them, get things put in position for when they do see it, they can make something happen. But don't allow age to be a determining factor. Because I've seen a brother, he came over here. How old was he? Man, I forgot how old he was. He was at least early 70s, late 60s, and he came over here in a wheelchair and figuring it out, trying to figure it out, trying to heal and trying to get himself back together. So, there's people doing it. So you can do it as well. Don't just think age is a determining factor. Yeah. Well, if you made it to the end of the video, we appreciate you for staying tuned to the end. And if you're interested in making a transition to the continent of Africa, we offer repatriation consultations for those who are interested. We will sit on the phone with you for 1 hour and answer all the questions that you have and help you with your specific needs so that you can make a smooth transition to the continent of Africa. So if you're interested in getting a consultation, click the link in the description box so that you can sign up and we can get it scheduled, all right? And also, if you're interested in getting your healing done from the inside out, my wife offers all natural herbal consultations for those who are interested. She will help you get a natural remedy to heal from anything you're dealing with. So if you're interested in getting your healing done before you come over to the continent, make sure you click the link in the description box so that you can schedule your consultation with my beautiful wife.
Yes. Also, we have a free document on our website. Some of the most important things you need to know before moving to Africa. So definitely go on our website, www.t3andme.org, and go to our shop and you'll be able to download a document. We also have an ebook, everything you need to know before you move to Tanzania. It's a comprehensive relocation guide, 77 pages of our 4-year journey here in Africa. So definitely go check that out if you want to have some insight on some things before you move to Tanzania. And then lastly, we have a private community for those who want to connect with Tim and myself. That also will be in the description box as well. Also, last thing, if you're interested in investing or getting land in Tanzania, stay tuned for our next investors roundtable. I believe it'll be sometime in April, possibly May. But just stay tuned and we'll have an announcement soon. Yeah.
And if you made it to the end of the video, we thank you for the love. We thank you for the support. We thank you for staying tuned. We don't take it for granted that you gave us your attention. We hope that we were able to bring you some value and you were able to learn something and we were used to help you to see things a little bit clearer, all right? So if you're out here in the world, stay safe. Don't let these people steal your peace. Don't let these people steal your joy. Stay covered and protected and keep the shalom peace. All right, y'all be safe.
Peace.